I want to continue doing some work in this database. It's a business, and they keep track of their employees, and those employees are assigned various jobs for clients, and the jobs are kept track of in this table. So this table keeps track of the various jobs, the job IDs, the client involved, the employee involved, the date of the job. And I just went through and I put in some various start times and end times for particular jobs. One of the first things I want to do is I want to calculate the difference between a start time and an end time so I can find out how many hours a job took. And then once I know the hours for the job, I can multiply it by the employee's pay rate so that I can start to calculate their total pay. So where I left off, I didn't have start times and end times. I just filled those in a second ago. And as a reminder, I'm going to close these. There are three tables: employees, clients, and jobs is what connects them both, and they have a one-to-many relationship. So I'm going to jump over into query design. So I'm going to click my close button, sure, save changes, go over to create, and I'm going to create queries in design mode. So over here on the right side of the ribbon, query design. And when you're creating queries, you only want to show the tables that you need, okay? So only particular tables will have fields that you want. Let's start off with something simple here. Let's go ahead and just use our clients table, close, and then I can start to create a query out of this. Query is just a fancy name for search. Here are the fields that I have available to me. Okay, I'm going to start off, I want to display all of the clients' names and phone numbers that begin with the letter P, for instance. So I will bring in the client name. I'll just double click on client name. That brings it into the design grid. And I'm going to double click on client phone number. There we go. And the criteria that I'm interested in is going to be based on their name. And I'm going to type in the letter P and then a wildcard asterisk. And then if I just tab away, I'll get the like operator. So I'm going to search for all clients that have the last name beginning with the letter P. I'm sorry, not last name, but client name beginning with the letter P. Alright, now to run this query, I need to be in my design ribbon for the query design, and I can click the run button, or I could also click datasheet view and do a preview. But I'll go ahead and run the query, and in my results I see that I'm getting my two clients that have names beginning with the letter P. I've got their names and their phone numbers. Go back to design view and I can make modifications. I'm going to go ahead and save this though. I'm going to click my office button, save as, save object as, and I'll call this client's name starting with P. There we go. Alright, let's try a few other kinds of queries. I'm going to delete the table from this design, and I'm going to use my show table button to display a different table. Now I'm going to bring in my employees table, and I'll close that. And on this one I'm going to bring in the employee name and then employee pay. Now I haven't done any criteria, so if I were to run this query I would pretty much just get a datasheet view of those two fields. Let's check it out. I run the query and there it is, employee name, employee pay. Let me jump back over to design view. Now I'm going to create, actually let's do one quick comparison. Let's see, I've got do more than 30. So I'm going to go to employee pay, and for criteria I'll just type in greater than 30. You could do greater than or equal to 30 as well, in order to find all employees that have a pay greater than or equal to $30 an hour. So if I run this now, remember before I had 4 results, if I run this now I get 2 results, my 2 employees, Brent and Carla, with pay above 30. So let me just go ahead and save this one. Office, save as. Now I don't want to just click my save button because that's going to overwrite my previous query. Client name starting with P. So I'm going to do office, save as, and I'll call this one employees making more than $30 per hour. Click OK. And notice over here in my objects panel I can see that I've got, of course, my original 3 tables, and I've got my 2 queries that I've just created. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete the criteria for this employee pay, and I want to add in a calculated query. So for a calculated query I'm going to create a brand new field that doesn't exist called holiday bonus. And basically holiday bonus for this company is going to be 8 times their hourly rate. Really easy to do. So I'm going to work over here in this 3rd column, okay? I haven't done a field yet. And I'm going to type stuff right in here. Now, I'd like a little bit more room to type, so I'm going to right click and choose the zoom option. and it gives me a little bit more room to work. I'm even going to change my font a little bit bigger too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type this up. Now when you're creating a new calculated field in a query, you start off by typing in the new field name. I'm going to call this one holiday bonus colon. Okay, so holiday bonus is going to be the new field name, and then after the colon I type in the formula that calculates this holiday bonus. And that formula is going to be employee pay. Notice I'm typing this just like the field name, and I'm also enclosing it in square brackets. When you refer to an existing field name in a formula, enclose it in square brackets, and I will multiply that by 8. So holiday bonus is going to be employee pay times 8. I click OK, and I run this query. There we go. Employee pay is $24. Their holiday bonus is $192. Employee pay is $32, holiday bonus is $256. Let me jump back over to design view. So there we go. It's a calculated query. Zoom in, new field, colon, formula for the calculation. Let me go ahead and Office, save as, save object as, and this will be holiday bonus. There we go, and that's for my 4 employees. Now remember, queries can be saved and rerun easily at a later date. Let me show you this. Let me go ahead and close this out, and remember, if I were to run this query right now, I would get my 4 employees, their pay, and their holiday bonus. Let me jump real quick over to my employees data sheet. I'm going to add a 5th employee. This will be employee E, and I'll call this person Aaron. There we go. And how about $40 an hour? Okay, I have an address now, and I'm going to close this table, and I'm going to rerun my holiday bonus query. There we go. Aaron, $40 an hour, $320 for the holiday bonus. Okay, so that's the basics for doing queries, and of course you can do all kinds. You can use comparison operators, Boolean operators like OR and of course we can create calculated queries. And when our queries are saved, we can actually create reports on these. Now the next query I want to do is going to be a little bit more complex, and it's going to involve me using 2 different tables. So let me go ahead and take care of this. First I will just delete the table I've got, and it kind of sets me off. And let me also click on this column. I'm just clicking on the top part of the column in the design grid and delete. I'm starting from a clean slate here. And I'm going to use my show table button, and I'm going to bring in my employees table and my jobs table. Then I'll close that. Okay, now when we're dealing with multiple tables in a query, you want to think of this line not as a relationship line, but as a join line. Okay, so we're joining 2 tables, and they're already joined for us since they're related. But this is going to come into play here. Now for this query, I want to display the employee's name. Actually, let's do a couple things. Let's do employee ID and the employee name from the employees table. Let's also get the employee pay. Employee ID, employee name, and employee pay. Now I also want to keep track of the jobs they've worked. So let's go and put in job ID, client, and then I want to figure out the hours that a particular employee worked. Okay, so I want to figure out how many hours they worked. Now I don't need to display their start time and their end time, but I'm going to to start off with, and then I'll take these fields out later. So I'm going to go ahead and put in start time and end time. Okay, and might as well put in job date. There we go. And then I'll have their hours worked over here. So I'm going to have hours be a calculation based off start time and end time, and then I'll take those 2 fields out, and you'll see that it still works. So let's just kind of review all the fields that I have. I've got employee ID, employee name, employee pay from the employees table. Then I've got job ID, client ID, job start time, job end time, and job date from the jobs table. For my calculated field, I'm going to right click and zoom, and I'm going to type in job hours as my new field. And then the calculation is going to be job end time, notice I'm using square brackets to contain that, minus job start time. I'm going to enclose this subtraction formula in a set of parentheses, and I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 24 in order to get it to display in whole hours. So job end time minus job start time, the whole thing is multiplied by 24. When I click OK and I go to run this query, scroll to the right a bit, I can see there we go. So a job from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is 1 hour. A job from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. is 4 hours. In the next video, we're going to create a report that takes job hours multiplied by job pay, or employee's pay rate, so that we can calculate some pay for each employee and also a grand total for all employees.